Hey everybody, it's Chris. So this is the last deep dive I do before I rank the 2024 monk subclasses against the previous monk subclasses. And that is likely going to be a bloodbath. So for those who might be new to D&D and wondering what I mean, because, monks are pretty good, right? Yeah, they are now, but the 2014 monk was rough and the subclasses were no better. And for some reason, whenever we saw a new monk subclass, it was like they figured monks needed further punishment for some reason. However, right now, let's take a look at the Warrior of the Open Hand, which is the updated version of the Way of Open Hand monk from the 2014 Player's Handbook. Interestingly, Open Hand was one of those subclasses I kept seeing players saying was a beacon in the muck that was the monk subclasses, but I have to be honest, I didn't see it. Sure, the level 3 feature wasn't bad, but level 6, level 11, I don't know. Now, if you watch my channel, or D&D Deep Dives channel, or you're one of those heroes that watches both of our channels, you'll know that Colby and I are buddies off camera, and monks are his favorite class, and Way of the Open Hand was his favorite subclass, and their 17th level feature, Quivering Palm, was his favorite subclass feature. So, out of respect for Colby, I'm not going to bother saying what I really thought of the 2014 version of Quivering Palm, but we have a vastly redesigned Quivering Palm in the new core rules, and I'll just say, I do get why he was so fond of the old version. I didn't necessarily agree, but I get it. There was a promise with that feature, and when that promise was kept, it was super cool. That promise, though, broken a lot. Like, a lot. It was the Bernie Madoff of keeping promises. But we have a brand new slate here. And fortunately, unlike the Warrior of Mercy monk subclass, we did get an aggressive redesign of most of the features of this subclass. First, though, we're going to take a look at the feature that is almost the same as it used to be, and that is level 3 and Open Hand technique. So, whenever you hit a creature with an attack granted by your Flurry of Blows, you can impose one of the following effects on that target. Addle, the target can't make opportunity attacks until the start of its next turn. Push, the target must succeed on a strength saving throw or be pushed up to 15 feet away from you. And topple, the target must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or have the prone condition. So, you're a monk. You are probably going to be using Flurry of Blows. And this feature just makes Flurry of Blows better. This feature, as I implied, is almost exactly the same as the 2014 version, just not quite. The only mechanical change is the old version had an option to remove the target's ability to take reactions until the end of your next turn. That has been modified. Now it removes their ability to make opportunity attacks, which is only one kind of reaction, until the start of its next turn. So that option is actually a bit worse. Though to be fair, removing the opportunity attack was often the primary goal of removing reactions, allowing the monk to safely withdraw from melee, and it still does that. This has always been the case, but it is worth pointing out again. Both the push and topple options here provide a saving throw, but the saving throw is different. In one case it's strength, and one case it's dexterity, which can allow for some deduction for which is more likely to be effective against your current target. And neither of them have a size restriction. So your halfling monk can, at least potentially, knock over the Tarrasque it just punched. So you can impose one of these effects with every hit from Flurry of Blows. That means you can potentially impose 2 in one turn, maybe against different opponents, or maybe 2 different effects on the same target. And the hidden upgrade to this feature is revealed right there, because previously a monk could never attack more than twice with Flurry of Blows. But at level 10, a monk now gets 3 Flurry of Blows attacks. This feature gets a big boost at level 10. Here is the hidden downgrade though. Weapon Mastery. Yeah, monks don't get weapon masteries, but fighters, barbarians, rangers, paladins, and rogues do. And the push mastery does something very similar to push here, and the topple mastery does something very similar to topple. So these abilities, which used to be much more special for open hand monks, are now pretty commonplace, since weapon masteries are free add-ons to every attack that character makes with a weapon. That devalues this feature to some degree. And this is a significant factor. When you get this feature, we're talking about 3 rounds of using this feature between each rest, whether it's short or long. You can blow this entire thing in one combat. And that is the best case scenario, because if you use your focus points for anything other than flurry of blows, it is less than that. Now, there is a point, and what level that occurs at depends on how long your combats are and how many combats you take before you rest. But there is a point where you can expect to be doing flurry of blows every round of every combat. And you would do that anyways, even if you didn't have this feature. So then, this is basically a free add-on to every round of combat. But that point is probably not level 3, so this feature actually scales with level beyond just the 3rd flurry attack at 10th level. There's one final secret upgrade though. Flurry of Blows is less restrictive than it used to be. You used to be able to use Flurry of Blows after the attack action, but now you can use it before the attack action, or use it even if you aren't planning to use the attack action at all. So for example, if you Flurry of Blows first and then you impose the prone condition on an enemy, now you can attack with your attack action, gaining advantage on those attacks. That would be probably the most obvious example. The other thing I should point out is that all 3 of these options are minor and circumstantial. So it is not uncommon for you to hit an enemy with a Flurry of Blows attack, look at all 3 options here, and none of them seem to be of any real value. That happens. Sure, if the cleric has a Spirit Guardian's emanation and you're able to push an enemy into it, or prone is really not just going to help you, but the ally going right after you, then these can be quite impactful, but that is not always the case. I've seen many times where an open hand monk hits with Flurry Blows, looks at the options and says, you know what, I guess I push them 15 feet, even when the push is going to do absolutely nothing. When I look at the 2024 monk subclasses, I just cannot say that this feature is better than the 3rd level features of any of the other subclasses. It is probably a fair bit worse than Warrior of Elements, though I gave them 5 stars at level 3, and obviously this was never going to be 5 stars. I do think this is fairly competitive with Warrior of Mercy at level 3, and I gave that 3 stars, so I think I should give this 3 stars as well. It's average, but it's probably on the low side of average. This is maybe 2.75 stars. Then we get to level 6, Wholeness of Body. You gain the ability to heal yourself. As a bonus action, you can roll your martial arts die. You regain a number of points equal to the number rolled, plus your wisdom modifier, minimum of 1 hit point regained. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum of once, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So this feature replaces a similar feature that healed 3 times your monk level in hit points. So at level 6, that was 18 hit points. But it was an action to use, and you could use it only once per long rest. And that feature was trash. Here, it now uses a bonus action. You regain hit points equal to the roll of your martial arts die, plus your wisdom modifier, and it can be used a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier per long rest. So first off, a bonus action sounds better than an action to use, but the more I think about it, the less I think it's better in reality. At level 6, I can attack twice with my action, and I can attack twice with my bonus action using Flurry of Blows. And if I use Flurry of Blows, I get my open hand technique. If I use my attack action, I don't. So those Flurry of Blows attacks are probably better than my attack action attacks. Now, maybe I want to do something else with my action other than the attack action. And that's fair, but with a monk, a lot of the things I could have done with my action, like dodging and disengaging and dashing, are available through my bonus action as well, thanks to Monk's Focus. And at level 10, Flurry of Blows, Patient Defense, and Step of the Wind all get better. So with Flurry of Blows, now my monk can attack 3 times with their bonus action and only twice with their action. So now it's actually arguable that the bonus action is more expensive than the action to use that feature. As for the points healed, like I said, 18 points with the old feature, once per long rest, not very good, and it's scaled 3 points per level. With your typical monk at level 6, we probably have a +3 wisdom modifier, and our martial arts die is a d8. So a d8 plus 3 is 7.5 on average. With 3 uses, that's 22.5 points of healing total. And that is higher than 18, but not a lot higher. And it is 3 bonus actions to get to that total. When I look at Hand of Healing on the Warrior of Mercy, which is like 1/2 of what they get at level 3, potentially less than half, it heals the exact same amount, except instead of it using a bonus action, Hand of Healing replaces 1 attack from Flurry of Blows, so it's less than a bonus action. I really wish they had done that here. And Hand of Healing you can use on yourself or on someone else within reach. This one can only be used on yourself. Hand of Healing does use a focus point though, and this has its own use pool, which is probably better, but I'm comparing this one to 1/2 of a 3rd level feature. This isn't worthless, of course, but it's not good. And it is definitely below average for features at this level, and it conflicts with our 3rd level feature since we only have 1 bonus action. I cannot justify giving this more than 2 stars. That takes us to level 11, Fleet Step. When you take a bonus action other than Step of the Wind, you can also use Step of the Wind immediately after the bonus action. The 2014 Open Hand Monk got Tranquility at this level, which I'll tell you what it did. It put them under the effects of a Sanctuary spell after they took a long rest that lasted until their next long rest or until they broke it, which was usually round 1 of the first sign of danger, which is the only time Sanctuary is any good. So if you lost initiative on the first round of combat of the day, then maybe it helps you on round 1. Otherwise, worthless. That's the kind of feature I would have given 1 star. Now, whenever we use a bonus action for anything other than Step of the Wind, which is going to be every single round for the rest of our career, we get a free Step of the Wind. So it is a free Step of the Wind every round. Now, to remind you, Step of the Wind allows you to dash as a bonus action, and our jump distance is doubled. And here, that bonus action is a free extra bonus action. So it's like we get 2 bonus actions every round. Just one of them has to be Step of the Wind. If we spend a focus point, we can also disengage, and at level 10 we got an upgrade where if we use that focus point to disengage, we can also choose a willing creature that is large size or smaller, that is within 5 feet of us, that moves with us until the end of our turn. And their movement also doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. I should also point out that ally doesn't just move with us for our bonus action Step the Wind dash. If we have additional movement left, they move with us until the end of our turn. We can even dash again with our action if we want to and bring them along. Now here's an interaction with the double jump distance that I do wonder about. Let's say our monk is benefiting from the jump spell. It says that we can use 10 feet of movement to jump 30 feet. Boots of Striding and Springing do basically the same thing. In those cases, does that mean we can jump 60 feet for 10 feet of movement? I think so, but double check with your DM to be sure. If we can do it, that's a really nice interaction. So, monks are fast. Your standard 11th level monk has a speed of 50. It's eventually going to be 60. This basically doubles that. We also benefit from the monk abilities to move across vertical surfaces and liquids with that movement. When in my Warrior of Elements video, I said that the flight and swim speed gained by Warrior of Elements at level 11 made them one of the most mobile subclasses. This is the reason I didn't say they were the most mobile. Warrior of the Open Hand is the most mobile. And not to discount the value of moving an ally with you. Yes, obviously, it can get a vulnerable ally out of danger, or put a tanky ally next to an enemy that would have been too far away from them. But if I have an ally who is grappled, or stuck in a web, or standing next to a harmful emanation or other effect that might hurt them at the start of their turn, we can use that option to move them. Yes, if they are restrained in a web, their speed is 0, but it's not their speed that matters. They move with us. So if it's not already obvious from everything I've said, I think this is really good. Step of the Wind is a good bonus action, but it is so hard to use with most monks because they're so flush with bonus action options. It's not a bad thing that they can't use Step of the Wind. They just have so many great things they can do with a bonus action. But here we're going to get to use it every single round. And also, unlike our 6th level feature, Wholeness of Body, this does not conflict with Open Hand Technique. In fact, it doesn't conflict with Wholeness of Body either. This, to me, 5-star feature. If you enjoy the heightened mobility of the monk, you ain't seen nothing until you've seen an 11th level Warrior of the Open Hand monk. And level 17, Quivering Palm, this one might be controversial because a lot of people had an emotional response to the old one and to the changes they made. You gain the ability to set up lethal vibrations in someone's body. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, you can expend 4 focus points to start these imperceptible vibrations, which last for a number of days equal to your monk level. They never will, but they could in theory. The vibrations are harmless until you take an action to end them. Alternatively, when you take the attack action on your turn, you can forego one of the attacks to end the vibrations. To end them, you and the target must be on the same plane of existence. When you end them, the target must make a Constitution saving throw, and they take 10d12 force damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. You can only have one creature under the effect of this feature at a time, and you can end the vibrations harmlessly, no action required, if you want to. So now we have to talk about the 2014 version of Quivering Palm. I can't avoid it anymore. You hit a creature with an unarmed strike, and then you can spend 3 key points and inflict Quivering Palm. Now, Quivering Palm doesn't do anything until you use your action afterwards to activate it. Now, the way the 2014 monk worked, that was impossible to do on the same turn you inflicted it. So you would inflict it on one turn, and then your following turn, you could use your action to activate it. So usually you used your action on the next round. Though technically a Quivering Palm could last a long time before you activate it, but I generally didn't see that come up. Because you use your action to do something besides the attack action, no Flurry of Blows or Open Hand Technique for you on the turn you activate your Quivering Palm. The creature made a Constitution saving throw against your monk DC, and if it failed, it fell to 0 hit points. Didn't matter how many hit points it started with. 500 hit points. Well, now it's 0. If it made the save, it took 10d10 necrotic damage instead. After you activated it, you could use it again. No limited uses beyond the 3 key cost. You just couldn't have more than one going at a time. Here is where the promise got broken. That creature with the 500 hit points, well, it generally didn't fail its Constitution saving throw, because even if it did, which wasn't all that likely, it almost certainly has legendary resistance. So against some mook or minion, sure, this could work a lot at a time, but is it really that great to be able to take down one minion in 2 rounds? With the big creature, what you really got was 10d10 of damage that replaced an entire round worth of attacks. So 55 damage on average, assuming they're not immune or resistant to necrotic damage, and that maybe replaced 4d12 plus 20 force damage, which is about 46 if you hit. That's if you don't have a damage boosting item at level 17, and we had the less reliable damage type. So the reality was, Quivering Palm ended up doing similar damage to not using Quivering Palm, and you spent 3 key to do it. So let's talk about the new version. You still set it up when you hit with an unarmed strike. Now it is 4 focus points, so it is even more expensive than the old one. It's still an action to activate, but now they give us another option. We can forego 1 attack from our attack action to activate it, which is obviously what we're going to do. They make a Constitution saving throw, taking 10d12 force damage on a failed save and half as much on a successful one. So less damage if they make the save than they used to take, since half of 10d12 is worse than all of 10d10, and probably less damage if they fail, unless they were going to drop to 0 hit points either way, in which case it's the same. So on first reading, it actually sounds like it might be worse, but it's not worse. It's actually much, much better. So here is what you do. You move up to the enemy that you want to eviscerate. You use Flurry of Blows and make 3 unarmed strike attacks before taking your action. At least 1 should hit, and of course, now you're going to use Open Hand Technique, and then you are going to spend your 4 focus points and inflict Quivering Palm. You now use your action to attack on the same turn. You forego 1 of those attacks and set off the Quivering Palm on the same turn, doing 65 force damage on average in place of that 1 attack, or 32 if they make their saving throw. So your damage for that turn went up. Way up. Then on round 2, you do it again. Now, that 4 focus points is expensive, even at level 17, even at level 20. But it is not unreasonable to think in the big, bad, nasty fight that you would use Uncanny Metabolism at the start of the fight and start that fight with full focus points. You can then Flurry of Blows, Open Hand Technique, Step of the Wind, Attack Action, Stunning Strike, and Quivering Palm with every single round for at least 3 rounds of combat. That is a massive amount of damage and control and debuffing and mobility every single round. Now, the Warrior of Elements gets an extra martial arts die of damage once per round. That's about 6.5. Warrior of Mercy can use Hand of Harm. That's about 11 or 12. Warrior of Shadow doesn't even get a damage boost. Assuming a single attack from your monk does about, say, 13 points of damage on average, if it hits, we're talking about 35-ish extra points of damage with Quivering Palm over making that attack, even taking into account the saving throw. And no to hit roll to worry about. And the damage type, 100% reliable, so you shouldn't need to worry about resistance or immunity. So mechanically, this is a total banger. Now, I get that the promise of the 2014 version of Quivering Palm was cool to think about. You hit the, aspect of Tiamat, and then you escape. Then the next day you snap your fingers and wham, dead. That's the promise that Colby loves so much. And as I said, I do get it. If that promise was ever kept, I would probably feel the same way. But Quivering Palm is like that politician who promises real electoral reform. After a while, you understand that the promise is worthless. Instead, we just get a really strong feature that blows the other damage boosts for a monk away. Yes, it is going to drain your focus points faster than opening a hotspot with your phone drains your battery, but the payoff is extreme. This is 5 stars, and the Open Hand Monk is now the promise. The promise that you suffer a middling feature at level 3 and a below average feature at level 6, and eventually you will get some really potent stuff starting at level 11. And hopefully, the promise that this campaign is the one that's really going right to level 20 isn't broken again, like the promise of the 2014 Quivering Palm. So, I hope that you found this video helpful or informative, or just a decent way to waste some time. If so, I would ask that you give it a like, and if the channel happens to be one you're not subscribed to, please subscribe. And if you really liked it, consider supporting this channel through Patreon. It is Patreon that keeps me afloat in these times of dwindling YouTube revenue. There is a link in the description, and I would like to name a few of the absolute heroes who support this channel at the Archmage tier. So thank you to Shura, Astonish, Awesome Face, BG4711, Brandon Sargent, Christophe, Condor, Cinnamon, Dash Panther, David Lotz, David W. Skibbins, Eric H., Homowa, Ido, James Thomas, Jean-Baptiste Blanchette, Jeremy Brown, Jonathan Lexi, Justice Valdez, KJ Aurelio, Kevin Casey, Crosidian, Quath, Matt Schwobel, Migish, Reichenstahl, Rysquy, Saint Fidar, Starfall, Stephen Edmondson, TUM, The Algor Rhythm, Tim Loy Moeller, and Trex. And until next time, I am going to sit back, relax, and have some fun. D&D is for everyone. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you soon.